Welcome to the Coffee Sports Network. I'm your host, Rod Coffee. And today, my very special guest is an old, and I do mean old, friend of mine and president of SFT Combat, David Hudson. David, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, this is awesome. I got my cup of coffee. SFT coffee.
Everybody loves coffee. We know that.
Everybody loves coffee, exactly.
Look, what you're doing is incredible, but not enough people know about it. Tell us all about SFT Combat. How long have you guys been going, and where are your events?
Well, SFT got started in 2013 by my father. He did a couple of shows and he stopped for 5 years. Well, let's go back Let's go back a little bit. I was in the film business, and the parent company is Swan Entertainment, and we're in the film business, film distribution, film production. I was in charge of sales and acquisitions. I'm the only crazy guy that gave up flying first class worldwide, getting wine and dine to the best restaurants and the film festivals. I could order a 10,000 bottle of wine and they would get it for me. I would take clients out. I had like a $50,000 budget to party with my clients.
Yeah,
I gave it all up.
You were doing the Cannes Film Festival and all those big
Cannes Film Festival, Berlin, you name it, Montreal, Toronto, every film festival. I was every week in some other country, and I gave it all up.
Good life to me.
Yeah, I give it all up for MMA. And the thing is, I've never watched MMA before. Because the film business were able to get the airtime on, because no one can just walk into a TV station and go, I want to buy. Bandeirantes is equivalent to Fox Network. You can't just call Fox, hey Fox, I want 2 hours, 11 o'clock at night, give it to me. But because of the relationship that we've established with them, selling movies throughout the years, we're able to do that. So when I got to Brazil in 2018, I had never watched an MMA fight. I went there by my father's invitation and Deborah, which is our lawyer. They said, come here, check it out, see what you want. And my idea was go, stay 4 days, watch the thing, hate it, come back, and never want to talk about it again. And I fell in love.
Okay.
Fell in love. It's crazy. I can admit to this now, but I remember my first day going to meet some fighters, and they go, wow, Dana White this, Dana White that. Who's this chick? I'm thinking. Because Dana is, for me, there's a lot of women named Dana. So I'm going, who's this chick? Dana? And if I would open my mouth today, I probably would have been fired on the spot. It's like, who's this chick Dana? And what's his Ultimate Fighting? I know you have seen it, but never heard of Ultimate Fighting. That's how much I didn't know. I mean, really, it was, but the respect, how humble they were, the stuff I saw inside the cage was one guy beginning of the fight, he slipped, and there was this giant tennis ball on his foot, and his opponent wasn't stepping on it. And you can understand the first round, but the second round wasn't stepping, third round wasn't, and he lost the opponent. Mm-hmm. And I go to him, dude, all he has to do was to step on that thing 2 or 3 times. He goes, but I didn't cause that injury. He just came into the cage and slipped. I wouldn't even felt good with myself winning by stepping on that ball. And I go, oh my God, Dad, I don't want to know about film people anymore. I want to spend the rest of my life with these kind of people.
It was a different type of MMA company from the start. But I guess my question is to you, once you realized that this was something that you wanted to go with, did you immediately have a vision of how you wanted to tweak it and change it to what it is now, or did it just happen over time?
Obviously I fell in love with it, but I'm not stupid. I wasn't going to give it all up if I didn't believe. I'm not going to give up my lifestyle to go into something and dedicate my life to something that's not going to go anywhere. But I knew that I was a chess champion in high school. I was number 2 ranked in the state of South Florida.
Yes, okay.
So I think everything I'm a very logical person. Mm-hmm. And I researched it and I realized no one was doing it right. And I couldn't understand why Brazil wasn't the number 2 promotion in the world. It should have been UFC and the Brazilian promotion. Or it should have been UFC should have been the Brazilian promotion.
From, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Gracies, they're the ones who started. One of the Gracies with some other partners, and Dana White came and they bought it. They were $44 million in the red the first year. I'm only 1.5 million in 5 years, so it's not so bad compared to them. But so I was at first we've known each other for a very long time. And I'm the kind of a guy that I can't go to sleep with my friends I need. I'm always there to help people.
Yeah, that's your.
And I saw here I have an opportunity to really make a difference in Brazil. I can really, I can create the second biggest MMA organization in the world. Roman Empire fell, so you never know, but not focusing on the Roman Empire, I'll be happy with even number 3 or number 4 in the world.
And we're going to get to that because you guys have made so many strides since you took over as president. Everybody knows what a traditional MMA event looks like. We can use UFC as the prime example. What makes SFT Combat different?
Well, I strive to copy the best. So I've analyzed that UFC. I've analyzed what was going on in Brazil, and I realized that in Brazil, people weren't interested. The people's mindset in Brazil was, we can't compete with UFC, so let's have a farm and farm out fighters for the UFC. I say there's enough money for the UFC, for Bellator, for PFL, for MMA, for SFT, so I don't want to farm out fighters. When my fighters go out to the UFC, David Hudson, the president, David Hudson, oh my God, I'm excited for you. The president, fuck, I lost another fight at the UFC. But I know that I can make it to the point that maybe won't be to pay what the UFC does, but not everybody goes to the UFC. Right. I can make it a point where I can be paying what the Russians pay and what the other promotions they pay and not lose fighters anymore. You know, we have 14 fighters that came out of SFT in the last 5 years who are kicking ass in the UFC right now. I'm super happy for them. It shows the quality that we have, but at the same time, man, if I could have held on to those guys.
Yeah, no. And I think that you guys are on your way to maybe you'll start to get some of their fighters. Who knows?
Who knows?
I've been to your event, full disclosure, and guys, I have to tell you, it's like nothing you've ever experienced. But what's most interesting to me is the fact that I also was not into MMA. I was a boxing devotee. As you know, I used to do promotions for Ringside Productions in Detroit way back in the 1980s. But nonetheless, the fight game has always, whether it's boxing or MMA, been a very machista, very macho sporting endeavor. I mean, just basically, ground and pound. And it's a super masculine environment. But you've changed all that, and you've given it more of an entertainment twist. Again, I got a chance to see firsthand in Sao Paulo, Brazil. David's events they're family affairs. I mean, from the fighters respecting each other as people, first and foremost, to people bringing their children to the events. And you also have things for the kids to do, whether it's the kicking pads or not for the kids, but for the couples in the stands, the kiss cam. Tell us all about that. You've got a mascot. Tell everybody about the fact that you've gone in a different direction. You've made this more entertainment heavy as opposed to the pugilistic aspect of it.
I watched that the documentary, that docudrama about the guy that bought the Lakers, and he changed the NBA, facing the NBA.
Right.
I watched it after all my stuff, but when I watched it, I saw myself in that. Because I was these outsiders, never watched MMA fight in my life.
Showtime.
And people going to
me, it became Showtime.
Same exact thing. Like I'm following his footsteps without even knowing about his story. I know nothing about sports. I never watched sports. But for me, it's a no-brainer. You want to have the best promotion in the world, you got to put the best fighters to fight against each other. That's easy. So, number one, find the best matchmaker. I got to get people to come to my show. How do I get myself to enjoy coming to SFT since I wasn't part? Now I love it back then. So let's do what NBA does. Let's have really hot cheerleaders. Let's have a mascot who's my twin on steroids. Let's do the kiss cam. Let's do the DJ. We had a DJ for a while. Now we had to cut the budget, unfortunately. But we used to have the interactive DJ. We do all those kind of games. We have VR game for the kids. My sponsors for in 10 years from now, it's set because the kids love it. They come, they don't want to go home. And one of the reasons also for that was it's a poor country and people can afford to hire a nanny. So he's like, stay home with the kids or bring them with it. And even the kid loves something, you've been one of my twins. Just keep his kids entertained for 6 hours, no matter what it is. But they got the mascot. Yeah. Then they go in the octagon. They get to like give punches to a UFC champion. They get 200 reais. Then they go play the VR. Then they go play with the mascot. They have the caricature guy. And then they watch the video of the fighting. We're going to introduce pillow fighting now for the kids as well.
Fact, you're right. I was just thinking about what were the kids doing during the fight. And yeah, sometimes they're watching and cheering with their parents, but other times they were just kind of meandering around the venue. And you even had a cartoonist making like illustrations of kids, and kids were going to get popcorn. Okay, yeah.
Super Dave,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's amazing with kids. I mean, you got to watch him. The happiness that the kids have. You got to remember that most of these families and kids are from poor areas. So now they're playing video games for free, virtual reality video games. They got this mago do desenho. I call him the Picasso of caricatures, and he's great with the kids. Then they come in Octagon, they can win 200 reais, and it's like I wish they give every kid. There was one time, it's funny, quick story. I turned around and it's like 40 kids behind me, and the kids coming in, and I kept going, guys, no kid is going to be turned away. So if we have to spend the next 5 hours and not have a fight tonight, so please close the freaking door and no more kids in the octagon. No one gets into the octagon without having a chance. Wow. And we did it for like half an hour almost. And thank God we were able to, the fight set knockouts and we were able to finish before the main card. But I said, well, let's drop a fight. There's no kid in his octagon who's going to go home without even having a chance. Because I don't want to disappoint the kid. The kid doesn't understand that. And I was so mad afterwards. I spoke to the guy that handles that. I go, dude, we have a maximum of 6 to 8 kids. How'd you get me like 40 kids in there? You're crazy. But I'm not going to break any hearts.
Personally, I think that is the biggest difference between SFT Combat and other fight promotions. Of course, any sporting event, any fight event is an event first and foremost, but you seem to be really heavy on the entertainment side, on the fun side. And the fight, albeit high quality, that's the center point. But what's going on around the fight, I think, is what makes you guys different. I would dare to say, just like you didn't have an interest in MMA when you first, witnessed your dad's company, dare to say, I think that people like yourself who don't have an interest, if they watched it, they will be thoroughly entertained.
And we have a lot of new people because we're the only event on the open to air network TV nationwide. People are flipping channels, they're watching. So we have a whole generation of people who've never even dreamt of watching an MMA fight who are like die-hard core fans. And that's why we introduced the extreme fighting, because, it takes a long time to get used to the jiu-jitsu, the wrestling, the guys hugging each other out. And it's like, it's a chess game. But if you don't understand a chess game, it's like, you don't like it. So we introduced extreme fighting, which is there's no ground, there's no jiu-jitsu, it's just kicking, striking, and knees.
Okay, let's talk about the fight part of the game. Tell us about your fighters. Tell us about the different divisions and the different styles that you guys have at SFT Combat at your events. You've got a lot of different styles within a single.
A lot of people ask me, do you guys do UFC fighting or MMA fighting? UFC is not fighting, but UFC became. Remember back in the day, like, let's do a Xerox. No one sent us a copy. Let's do a Xerox.
Right
now, and then there's other examples, but
Kleenex.
Oh yeah, so the brand became the verb. So UFC is becoming a verb in a way. So my idea is let's educate the people of what makes MMA. So every event at the first fight will bring some other styles. So we've had jiu-jitsu, karate, judo, sanda, you name it, we've had it. Second of all, let's keep people excited. Even die-hard MMA fan, if it's too much jiu-jitsu and grabbing, they don't like it. So bring in extreme. Extreme brings the adrenaline up there. So if you have a slow MMA fight, extreme is guaranteed, and bring the women. They give us the best fights. Women.
That's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, but let's go through the whole league, all the leagues. Yeah. But before that, Magno, my matchmaker, he used to have an event called Fight Club, which was his amateur event, which I've embraced it. And we've created something which I get criticized for all the time, and I cannot, for the life of me, I'll get it. Maybe you can explain this to me. You've got the amateur guys. They're fighting with big gloves. They're fighting with chin guards, and they don't have to cut weight. They get weighted before the fight. Then they go to MMA pro. Mm-hmm. I've created a stopping point. They get to fight in the main event. They get to fight with most of the professional rules. Mm-hmm. They get to be on live TV, but it's an amateur fight. It's 2 amateurs who are ready to go pro. This way they can get less kinks out. Oh, I need to learn how to cut weight. And people tell me it's crazy. We have this one guy. He was, I think, 11-0 as an amateur. Mm-hmm. He did a semi-pro fight and he lost. He got submitted in the second round. Took a year off. He goes, my conditioning is bad. I spoke to him and we spoke to his father. Took a year off, got his conditioning back, came to a semi-pro fight and he won. And then he went to a bit professional. He's been on TV. He's been with the big lights. He's been with the big shoulders. No nerves. He knows how to cut weight. And now he's 3-0. If you would have gone from amateur to pro, he would have quit. He would have been only 3-0, 4, and his career would be done. And I criticize all the time about that. Like, you shouldn't do this. You should cancel that. I don't understand.
Well, you're obviously doing something right, and one of the things that intrigued me was the event that I attended, and I believe it was in October, was your breast cancer
Breast
awareness
cancer.
all female card. Talk to me about that. That's incredible.
Yeah, so, I believe Dana White, it took a long time to have women fighting there. He started a couple of years before me. And we rarely had fights in the beginning, but I would see that when the women would fight, they wanted to prove they belonged in the octagon. I joke, women have makeup. So Sunday morning, they put on the makeup, they look great. Me and you, we don't have makeup. So, go easy, don't punch me. Obviously, it's a joke.
Right.
So then I decided let's try it. And I made a rule that every main card needed to have a female fight. I told my matchmaker, even if it's not a main card quality fight, needs to have a female fight for the women to see they have a home. So in the beginning, we have some really bad women fights live nationwide on main card. But the purpose was David means business. So obviously, breast cancer awareness month. Even Invicta, which is an all women's league, doesn't do anything for breast cancer. I go, this is crazy. I have television. I have a responsibility. I tell my fighters, if you're going to fight SFT, you have a responsibility to be a mensch. You're an example. I don't want this crazy Jerry Maguire shit. You have to be a good example. You don't fight in main event. When the cage closes, be a monster. When the fight is over, be a mensch. Be the answer martial arts. So we have a responsibility to do this, and for breast cancer, and our women are kicking ass.
And that's another, I think, element of what you guys do is the respect quotient across the board. I mean, I've seen some pretty vicious fights at your events, but at the end of the day, everybody seems to be in the SFT family respectful of each other. I mean, I think that you've really developed a culture where they're competitors, but not enemies.
It's a sport. And let's remember, when we were kids, we didn't have MMA, but anytime you had a kid in school was like troublemaker, put in martial arts. Let's send him to karate. Let's send him to kung fu, because that's going to discipline him.
It's all about respect.
So all these people that fight MMA, they're coming from martial arts. Mm-hmm. So they should not be doing this. There's a comparator of mine in Brazil that every face-off he has, out of 15, 14 doesn't fight. And it's obvious he's paying those people to do that. And what I say is you're killing the sport because people don't want to sponsor MMA because of the old days, and you're showing them that it's not anything about it's not martial arts, it's street fighting. So stop fucking doing that, dude.
Right. Well,
we've never had a fight. One time was actually they came in with Gatorade bottles, mm-hmm. and it looked like they were going to fight, and I was so excited. Then I was like, oh my God, this is cool. One time it's cool. And then they were going to punch her, and then they crossed their arms like they came out, and they drank the Gatorade and they started fighting. It was a joke. That's the closest thing we ever got to fight.
Yeah.
But my fights are the best fights in Brazil. Numbers don't lie. I got number 1 against number 2, not number 1 against number 652.
So let's talk numbers. Again, a lot of people who are watching this, probably haven't seen your events because they do take place in Brazil. But you guys are doing huge numbers in Brazil. Let people know exactly, Saturday night fights and exactly how big this product is. I mean, you guys are literally nipping at the heels of the legendary UFC. It's just that people don't know it.
People don't know it. Pretty much every event in Brazil, and not just in Brazil, I think in the States as well and worldwide. Like I was saying, we can't beat the UFC, so let's farm fighters. You don't have to beat the UFC. There's money for the people, especially outside the country. The cost of running an event is 20% of running in the States. In the States, you can't beat the UFC, but in Brazil and anywhere else, you can make a living with an MMA promotion. So most fights, they have the guy they're promoting, so they're going to make a fight so the guy can win. So often you have the number 1 guy in Brazil play a fight against the number 672 coming from 10 losses. There was a title fight 6 months ago. The girl was 0-1. 0-1. And the president of the event goes, this is the biggest fight in Shoto's history. I go, she's 0-1. Yeah. Since when does someone who's never won a fight fights for that? We're different. We don't only just look at the record. Mm-hmm. We go 4 levels in. We see who they beat, who those people beat, and who those people beat. Because there's a lot of 2 guys I never fought in my life that I can beat those. Because, a lot of the 10-2 guys, 10 wins, 2 losses, the 10 wins are against people who only lost. And the only 2 losses they have is the only 2 fights they fought someone with a positive record. So for us, the record is not everything. One of our middleweight champion female, she has a negative record. But if you look at her, she was doing really good. Then she had a bump on the road where she lost 6 fights. And then she continued fighting against really good fighters. Usually when fighters lose a fight, they start taking easy fights. And then she won for 3 years. She won, and I go, okay, you're negative, but you've earned it in here. And you've not only you've earned it, you're fighting with the best of the best, and you're winning. So you deserve. So someone go, oh, President, you have a 10-12 fighter. Yeah, but look at her the last half of her career is what counts. Right. And she's a real fighter. She'll take whatever comes in her way.
You've got some great fighters, but in terms of the numbers, though, you guys, is it Channel 5 where you air in Brazil? Let people know exactly like how popular your Saturday night fights is. Once a month, correct?
Yeah, the fight, it takes place once a month. The main card goes live. Brazil people don't follow social media like it. There's no news. So the rest of the card, we do 20 fights, runs every Saturday night. And if the main card is really good, usually the preliminary card has a higher rating. We've gotten 3.5 million people watching us on Saturday night. We're the number 2. 3.5 million people.
3.5 million people.
Yeah. We average about 1.5 to 2, but we've had peaks of 3.5 to 4 million. And so we're in our time slot, we're between second and fourth. No one may beat first place. But global is like global. There's no, you can't even touch global. So we've gotten second place. In the north of Brazil, we've came very close to global already. We're really powerful there. But besides that, we have a 24/7 channel on Roku, Pluto, TCL, Samsung, we're launching Meta X, and 4 more platforms, 24/7. The whole event is live.
Okay, so you guys are on
Roku, Pluto, Samsung, TCL, Meta X is launching something. Mercado Livre, which is Brazil's version of Amazon Prime.
Okay. And it's huge. You guys still have a huge presence on YouTube, correct? I mean, if I remember correctly, you were telling me that you were even surprised when you were looking at your metrics on YouTube at the number of people in Asia and Russia who are now following us.
Yeah, I would think United States would be number 2, but second place was like Kazakhstan and India, and I don't understand. It was cool. I went to visit a gym a couple of days ago, a small class, and there was a kid there, didn't recognize me, but I'm talking about extreme fighting. He goes, "Oh my God, you're the extreme fighting guy. I love us." And I test him. He really watches it. And he goes, "When I first time watched, I thought I was watching the UFC. And then I realized not only is not UFC, it's not even MMA, but this is fucking awesome." And he's a huge fan of it. He watches, doesn't miss an event. He watches it on YouTube.
Well, I'm sure he's going to be watching your next big event. You and I were talking just the other day, preparing for this interview, and I know you're really excited about the May event. Tell us about that. This could be a turning point for SFT.
Before we get done, let's do really quickly, we have the best of the best. Carlos Prates was 5-0 in UFC. Bonus for performance management is 2-time champion of mine. Leandro Mascari, champion of mine. Hoofy, only career loss Hoofy had was an SFT. He's kicking. There's a giant list. You go on our website, you can see the list of all the guys in UFC who came out of SFT. I wish I could hold them. But we have this fighter, his name is King Kong. He has a record for the most categories. He's fought in 6 different categories. He started out as 85 pounds or 75 pounds. Now he's fighting 205 pounds. BJ Penn, you probably have heard of BJ Penn. He's fought in 4 different categories. This guy has fought in 6 categories, won in 6 categories. He's the light heavyweight champion. And our middleweight champion is the oldest active MMA fighter with a belt. He's 44 years old. And to get to the belt, he beat John Allen. He beat this other guy was number 1 in Brazil, 27, 28 years old. And he's 44. So he earned it. So now what we're going to do is 2 belts, 1 fight. We have the middleweight champion, and the light heavyweight champion. They're going to come in. It's a catweight fight, but the weight in between those two. Winner, Carl Boxer with the 2 belts, and he's a double champion. Never done in the history of MMA. ChatGPT, deep search. I've done that search 3 or 4 times to make sure. I hate to lie. So I really researched it. Never be done.
This event in May is going to be incredibly unique.
Yeah. So we have a guy who's got a world record for fighting in 6 different events, 6 different categories, and he's got belts in 2. If he wins this one, he'll have belts. It's because no one has belts in 2 different weight categories.
Okay, and when is this? Is May 24th?
May 24th.
Okay, so May 24th.
Live on YouTube.
And people can tune in and see this on the platforms that you mentioned, including YouTube?
Yeah. People in Brazil can watch on TV, but people in the States worldwide, they can watch on YouTube. And I'm looking into possibly broadcasting it in English. I think it's a very historic event. It deserves to have an English broadcast.
And for the record, let people know about your dual background. David obviously is American, but he lived in Brazil, speaks Portuguese. Talk to the folks about, how you bring those two worlds together.
Yeah, I was born in Brazil, over the States when I was 11. I'm Jewish, so I got the Jewish mentality. I'm Brazilian, so I got the Brazilian heart.
That's why you're winning.
I was a chess player, but then when that...
Pretty accurate. You do have a Brazilian heart with a Jewish mentality.
Brazilian heart, sometimes I say, don't curse me out as an American, but I love being an American. Yeah. I just came back from Brazil. I was walking down on Paulista, and this woman finds out I'm American, and she starts going off on Trump. I don't want to talk about politics, but what I told her was, you have a convicted criminal who went to jail for 3 years, never graduated high school, as your president. Let's work on your president first before you come and talk about my president. Regardless if I I never talk about politics. But that pissed me off. It's don't criticize U.S. president when your president never graduated high school.
Well, and that's kind of, I think, another one of the things that makes you unique. You're actually bicultural, so you can speak to not just things political, and like you said, you like to avoid that. And unfortunately, it does look like politics and sports are getting too intertwined these days. But you understand the wants and needs of both markets. So having said that, you've got the major event coming up May 24th. But I know that you also have designs on conquering the U.S. market. Talk about that big goal of yours.
The pandemic obviously hurt everybody, but really hurt us. We were January 2020. We had Charles the Bronx. Everybody knows Charles Bronx is. He was the UFC champion. He lost his title because he didn't make weight on the events. He fought jiu-jitsu. We had King Kong, who didn't fight for a year, came and beat number 1 in Brazil. He was called up 36 hours before the fight. The fight was sold out. We had over 1,000 people outside. February event was another sellout event. And I had just given a deposit to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. $30,000, and then the pandemic shut us down a week later.
So you worked
until today. I never got my deposit back. It's the Indians, and my investor goes, "You work in Brazil, the capital of criminals, and you got screwed in the States." So I got my budget cut at the height of SFT when not only the pandemic came, but I got all my budget cut. I got no extra money. I had to work bare bones all this time. Because he goes, I don't trust you. And I don't blame him, but it's not my fault to be in a pandemic. Right. So it's been hard, but that plan is to close the year, hopefully, God willing, in Vegas in December.
So what do you need to do in order to have an event in the States? It's just the matter of...
the brand needs to grow. And believe it or not, and I hate to say this because, as you said, I'm Brazilian, but I'm American. Americans are chicken shit. I can't get an American to come to Brazil. And but Brazil doesn't pay as well as the States. But I'm not paying Brazil rates. I'm paying U.S. rates. I'm paying what the events pay here. And either Americans, they won 10 times more, or the week of the fight, mysteriously, they lose their passport. They're not scared of Brazil. They're scared of losing. They pick their fights really, and I don't bring anyone to lose. Brazilians go to Russia to lose. Everybody knows. When you go to Russia, they bring you 3-4 days before. They make it really rough on you. It's very hard for Brazilians to lose. I don't want to bring an American to lose, but I don't want to bring an American to just have an easy win. I want it to be 50-50, and Americans don't accept it, unfortunately. But if you're an American who've got the balls, you've got a place to fight in Brazil.
That was my next question. For the record, David Hudson is looking for American fighters to come to Brazil and fight under the umbrella of SFT Combat.
Either MMA or Shim. They don't have to be American. They have to be American-based. They need to have a social media presence. They have to live in the States. They have some sort of social media presence. Positive record coming from a win. Okay. But it could be a 4-1 person coming from a win who has 10,000 followers on Instagram. That's good for me.
Both male and female.
Both male and female.
Okay.
Not the both together.
This is great, man. Let everybody know what your socials are and how they can not only watch SFT but follow you on social media.
It's all SFT Combat on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, you name it. It's SFT Combat. And I'm David Hudson, SFT, El Presidente.
Well, David, man, you've given us incredible amount of good information and content, and yeah, we really appreciate having you on. And everybody follow SFT Combat and the Coffee Sports Network. Until next time, I'm Rod Coffee. That's David Hudson. Time out.
Os.